Another day, another awkward dinner conversation with Dad. While I am grateful that he started to make more time for Gaz and I to make up for how absent he was when we were growing up, more time with Dad means he has more time to judge me. Son, have you decided which field of science you're going to study in college? Dad, no offense, but you know I'm not all that into science. Don't tell me you still want to pursue your crazy obsession with hunting non-existent supernatural creatures. I didn't have to answer. We both knew where this conversation was going. I understand that you find enjoyment in your obsession, but it's just not practical. You have a brilliant mind. Don't let it go to waste. You could really make a difference in the world. Yeah, okay, the countless times I saved the entire planet are meaningless. Got it. During another long period of silence, I was left alone with my thoughts, and I realized something. Hey, Dad, why do you want me to be a scientist so badly? And why don't you ever try and talk Gaz into it? I mean, she's in the robotics club at school. That's science-y. Leave me out of this, Gaz said with a groan. Dad looked back and forth between the two of us. Kids, it's time I told you something. Before I knew it, I was running down the street to Zim's base. We hadn't spoken for about a week and a half, and I doubted he had any intention of talking to me, but I didn't know where else to turn. Zim? Are you there? I need to vent, I said on the verge of tears, knocking on the door. To my surprise, the door swung right open, and Zim was standing there looking displeased. Oh, you're back. I know you don't want me bothering you, but my dad just told me something crazy, and I don't know who else to talk to about it, so if you could just pretend to care for a few minutes, I'd really appreciate it. Similar to the last time we met, we sat ourselves down on the couch. All right, let's get this over with. My dad, I'm not. Spit it out already, dibstink. I'm a clone of my dad. Sim stared at me for a few seconds, then burst out laughing. Is that all? Everybody on Earth is a clone. We've reproduced that way for generations. It's normal. Well, it's not normal for Earth. I don't feel like a real person. I'm just a copy of my dad. That's why he wants me to be a scientist, but I guess I came out wrong. At that, Sim stopped laughing. You're defective? He asked, shakily. It's a harsh way of putting it, but yeah, I guess so. On my planet, defectives are killed. Their packs are erased and discarded, wiping the memory of their entire existence. Great. Thanks for rubbing salt in the wound, I said, tears streaming down my face. What salt? No, what I mean to say is, I may be defective as well. I was unable to fulfill my intended purpose. I'm lucky to be alive right now. I nodded. Yeah, but it still hurts to let down someone you look up to. My dad loves me, but no matter what, he'll always be disappointed in how I turned out. He tells me he's proud of me, but he still doesn't believe anything I say. And now, knowing what high expectations he had when he created me, I can't really blame him for being disappointed. I hate to admit this, but your attempts to stop me were quite impressive. Remember when we had that epic space battle? You took a rocket to Mercury just to stop me from squishing out all organic life. I wiped my tears. Talking to Zim was surprisingly comforting, though I didn't expect it to last. He avoided my gaze as he gently ran his claws across his antenna. You know, I've been reconsidering your offer. Your superior intelligence is quite admirable, and the increase in height you've acquired over the years implies that you are a highly respectable individual. Anyway, it appears we both lack purpose at the moment. Perhaps we can make it our mission as two defectives on this hideous planet to find a new one. Zim's genuine smile was unreal. I wasn't sure if I trusted it yet, but after going so long not knowing who to trust, I was willing to take a chance. So, you're a clone too, huh? Who are you a clone of? I asked, changing the subject. Oh, no one actually knows. Random DNA is selected to make the organic bodies, and then the packs are attached. Our actual personalities exist within the packs, though. If you don't naturally reproduce, do you just come into existence as a full-grown adult, or do you start out as a baby like I did? Oh, I was a baby. And a cute one at that. We call our young Smeets. That's adorable. Indeed. Do you guys have birthdays? Birthdays? The question and answer session went on for I don't even know how long, but it was almost 11 at night by the time I got home. To my surprise, the moment I walked through the door, Dad hugged me. Son, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Please don't scare me like that again. And I'm sorry I ran off. It's just, I know you had certain expectations of me, but even though I'm your clone, I'm still my own person. He nodded. Yes, I understand that now. It was foolish of me to assume that my personality would carry over to you. Clearly it doesn't matter. Just look at Clembrain. He's no scientist, but he found success as a TV chef. A few years back, Clembrain went to Hollywood to become a celebrity chef. He has his own show, Cooking with Clembrain. He only ever makes pudding, though. So, you're not going to pressure me to be a scientist? I asked. No. Besides, I'm still fairly young. I'll have plenty of time to find a suitable successor to take over Membrane Labs. Also, thanks for the tip about Gaz. We talked after he left, and she expressed interest in helping me out. That's great. Hey, wait a second. If I'm a clone, where did Gaz come from? Dad laughed as if the answer was obvious. Science, of course. That was the only answer I was ever going to get. My theory is that she's the result of some genetic experiment to create the most intimidating human being possible. I went to sleep that night feeling just a little bit better about everything. Oddly enough, it was thanks to Zim. The whole thing about how Urkins are cloned, but their personalities are separate entities from their bodies, it really cleared some things up about why I'm not a carbon copy of my dad, even if I look like him. And the defective thing. I couldn't help but feel bad for the little guy. Being born into the world as a normal, flawed individual, only to be treated like a monster? It was certainly something I felt before. Sure, I know I'm not a great person, but do I really deserve to be treated like garbage all the time? No. And neither does Zim. I stared at the sandwich in front of me for the longest time. Zim stood beside me at the lunch table, awaiting my response, but I had no idea how to react. Why are you giving me this? I asked. It is an offering of peace. Do you accept it? I assure you, there are no bologna meats on it. I chuckled. Zim, you don't need to give me food, just sit down. He cocked his head, looking like a confused puppy. No, I don't think you understand. Surely you must want payment to be in my presence, yes? With that in mind, there was no way I could accept it without guilt. He thought he had to buy my friendship. But on the other hand, the sandwich did look pretty good, and I really didn't feel like choking down another serving of corn and mayonnaise. Plus, I couldn't help but notice the Irkin insignia marked on the bread. How could I possibly pass up alien food? This is pathetic. Just take the sandwich, Dib. Okay, but let's not make this a regular thing, I said, taking the sandwich. Zim finally sat down, looking pleased, as Gaz tried to hide her snickering. So, are you guys gonna make friendship bracelets, or... Excellent! Now how do I create a bracelet that effectively harnesses the friendship juice? You're not one for sarcasm, are you? I asked with a chuckle. In all honesty, I felt kinda sick after eating the sandwich. No idea what was in it, and I don't think I want to know. But hey, Zim was trying, at least. Emphasis on trying. Unfortunately, when you come from a militaristic alien race bent on universal conquest, it's kind of hard to break out of that. There were many instances that day where I had to restrain him from attacking other students and teachers. He claimed that he needed someone else to use as a punching bag now that I'm off the table. Clearly, this was a problem. There was no way I could justify continuing the friendship if he still wanted to hurt people. There had to be some sort of alternative outlet for him. Video games seemed to help satisfy his violent tendencies, but the spaceship game hit a little too close to home. Then, I got a brilliant idea. A durable plushie that can take a beating whenever the need arises in Zim to attack. So I spent the weekend creating what I have decided to call the Torture Teddy. Okay, fine. Gaz did most of the work. But I came up with the name. It's really a morbid little thing. It screams, bleeds, vomits, all that stuff. I asked Gaz if it was really necessary for it to have bodily fluids. She told me Zim would probably get bored of beating up a regular teddy bear, though I think she just did it to gross me out. At the very least, she assured me it isn't sentient and can't actually feel pain, so we wouldn't have to worry about it turning against us. As soon as it was finished, I headed over to Zim's house to give him the bear. He must have seen me coming, though, because the door swung open before I could knock. Dib thing! You will accompany Zim to run some errands! What's with the bear? Gaz and I made it for you. You can attack it instead of people. So, where are we going? I asked as I handed him the bear. Oh, just to a space market so I can pick up more food that's actually edible, unlike the filthy, disgusting Earth food! It took my brain a few seconds to process what he said, and then... Wait. Space market? We're going to a space market? Yes! I may or may not have squealed like a girl. Zim looked confused by my excitement. I guess to him, going to a space market is about as mundane as just shopping for groceries, but to me, it was awesome. All right, some ground rules first. Firstly, don't draw too much attention to yourself. Your planet has gone largely unnoticed by most alien races, and for both our sakes, it's best we keep it that way. Also, you must resist the urge to kidnap or dissect any market-goers. They don't typically like that. Oh, come on, Zim. You didn't really think I was going to kidnap some random alien, right? Okay, fine, the thought crossed my mind, but it's not like I was actually going to do it. Now, if an evil alien that isn't Zim tried to destroy the Earth, then sure, but I at least have the decency to not abduct an unsuspecting civilian. Except for that one time. Forget it. There were many things Zim hadn't accounted for that day. One of which being the fact that I had outgrown the Voot Cruiser quite a bit. We were both still able to fit, the only thing was... No! A mighty Urkin warrior would never! It's not that big of a deal, but hey, if you'd rather not come, I can go home. Zim looked like he was on the verge of a tantrum. He gave the tortured Teddy a good strong punch in the face, an unrealistic amount of blood squirting out of the nose. Oh, wow, that was satisfying, he commented. Anyway, I suppose I could sit on your lap, but only because I can't have you being the superior friend. Clearly, you want to go to this market, so I refuse to allow you to miss out. Now, get in the boot! That's an order! I sat down in the ship's seat, with Zim plopping himself on top of me immediately after. He snickered. Pathetic human chair. And soon enough, we were blasting off into space. I couldn't help but be mesmerized at the surrounding stars twinkling in the distance. Even though I've already gone into outer space a couple times before, I never got tired of it. The flight was fairly short, considering the nearest market was outside of Earth's solar system. Only a couple hours. We'll be back at a decent time, right? My dad gets kind of paranoid. No need to worry, Dipstink. I won't take too long. Apparently, Zim is incredibly indecisive because we were there for 5 hours due to him constantly changing his mind. Not that I had a problem with being there longer, since it was really neat seeing all these different alien species in one place, and I ended up buying a few things for myself. Well, Zim paid for them. They don't accept Earth monies. But of course, the longer we spent there, the more threatening text I received from Gaz. Stuff along the lines of feeding me to sharks if I don't come home. Honestly, if there's a chance I can get cool robot arms like Dad, I am 100% okay with being fed to sharks. No, I was more worried about the Urkin soldiers passing through the market, herding various alien prisoners like cattle. Zim warned me ahead of time that we might see other Urkins, but he assured me it was highly unlikely we'd run into anyone he knows. As long as we kept a low profile, we'd be fine. I just had to slap my hand over his mouth a few times to stop him from screaming out, "I am Zim!" like he usually does. After we packed everything into the Voot, we were ready to go. I watched as the market planet shrank in the distance as we headed back home. So, did you have the fun today? Zim asked. Yeah, I did. You know, I'm impressed. You've come a long way from wanting to kill me. As have you, Dib. Remember on my first day of school, and you chased me all the way to my base with those sleep cuffs? I chuckled. Man, I was a dumb kid. And remember that time when you tried to send me to that room with a moose? You were such a jerk. Haha, yes, I still am. And so are you. He elbowed me in the ribs. Ow! That actually hurt, I said, laughing it off. Oh, I know, Dib. I know.